to be long-winded and have you check out and go to the restroom and check the mail and do everything else, and I'm just talking to myself. What I am going to do is start off speaking to the recipients of the scholarship award on today, and then the rest of us, as we say, you just get in where you fit in.
Amen.
But don't snooze off, because if you blink too long, I'll be done. But what I do want to say is that by now, many of our young people have had to wrestle with missing out on the traditional rites of passage. And what I mean by that is the prom and the parties.
Right.
The gowns and the gifts, the suits and the souvenirs. This year, the shouts of your peers and your parents, your friends and your family, have mostly been from a distance.
Mm-hmm.
And so this year has been far from traditional. But what that means for each one of you is that you are also legendary.
Amen.
And I say that because many of you, your life's journey began around Y2K. It was a new decade, a new century, a new millennium. And while a lot of adults were panicking and thinking that the world was going to end, and that technology was going to shut down and throw us into the dark ages, you all came along as stars of hope. You came along as reminders that there is hope. And now you have emerged from high school into the chaos of an international pandemic. And so your unique circumstances, your conception, your birth, and even up to this point makes you legendary. Literally, nobody can say, I know how you feel, because the truth is we don't.
All right.
And so what that means is you need to view yourself with distinction, and you need to view yourself with pride, because this moment in time did not happen by mistake.
Right.
You are not a mistake. You are not here randomly. In fact, your life was planned even before you were conceived.
All right.
You were chosen, you were created, and then you were placed in a divine time schedule. I mean, if we think about it, all of us could have been born during the 10th century.
All right.
Or during one of those years before Christ, in the BC years.
Right.
But for some reason, all of us have been born and are living in this century, in this day and age.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that means is don't let surrounding circumstances deceive you. You are legendary and you have distinction. This is your red carpet.
All right.
This is the runway from which you will take flight. And so what we need to do is look past the depressing news, stop watching them ratchet reality shows, and because in the midst of a pandemic, we can get sidetracked and forget that there is still a purpose and a plan for our existence. Disruption is often the pathway to your destiny. Disruption is often the pathway to destiny, and so don't sleep on this moment. In life, you can be at the right place, you can be in the right place, and still miss your opportunity.
Okay.
You have been chosen and placed in a moment where what's new and what's next will be received, so take advantage of it.
All right.
You have the opportunity to etch out the blueprint of something different and something better, so take advantage of it. You could be the generation that parents have prayed for. You could be the more equitable society that so many marched, bled, and died for. You were created and placed in this millennia to be innovators and not imitators. And so we applaud everybody's efforts today to further educate and expand your mind. We applaud the efforts of our faith leaders for not falling into the environmental trap of doing nothing with your time and with your mind. And we want to remind everyone today that your efforts will pay off.
All right.
So stay encouraged. Don't be deceived. Don't get frustrated by disruptions. Life right now is filled with ifs and what ifs. But you can face the future if you decide, I'm not going to put limits on my mind.
Okay.
It's your decision. And only you can make it. And listen, by deciding not to do so, you've still made up your mind. Whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. Whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. And so my prayer for all of us is that you will have the courage to move from being in the back to being up front and out front.
Right.
Why? Because you are God's succession plan. That's why he placed you right here and right now. You are God's succession plan. And radical times require radical people. And you say, I'm not radical, Brother Burris. Yes, you are. Everybody's radical about something. Let's just tell the truth. Sometimes you're just scared.
Facts.
We're so scared of being different. But change can't come if you're not challenged.
Facts.
To get results you have not gotten, you've got to do things you have not done. And it is risky. It is intimidating. You may be afraid, but do it anyway. And you're saying, but I don't know what will happen. And that is true. You don't. But let me let you in on a secret. You do know what will happen if you stay in the same place.
The same thing.
Just because it's the right season, if you have the wrong mindset, you can still forfeit what you're supposed to have and who you're supposed to be. All that you will do or won't do, will have or won't have, accomplish or not accomplish, will be a direct result of what's going on in your mind. Sometimes the worst enemy you can have is the one in between your own two ears. And so I'm leaving here when I tell you this. Don't let your mind make you miss your moment. Thank you.